Hi there, thanks for joining me. Yes, it's another installment of 'Tis the Season. I guess I kind of took a week off last week. I had so much on my plate, and it felt like every time I went to turn on my camera, it just didn't work out. But I'm here now, and we've got a new journal to get started. To everyone who left such nice compliments on the list. The flip through is before this one. If you haven't seen it and you're interested in what I'm talking about, go take a look. Thank you to everyone for your very kind words. It sure was a lot of fun to make, and the list is winging its way to its new owner, and it has a wonderful life ahead of itself now. And this is going to be our next book. We went from a great big huge green book to a little tiny green book. Not very big, this one, but it'll be one of those small but mighty. They're just as much fun. 3 3/4 inches, 6 inches, and it's probably not quite 3/4 of an inch of a spine. It's not a Christmas book, but it will be when we're done. It is Sophocles in English verse, and it was published in, where'd it go? I know it's here. I know, I saw it, because at first I thought it was new edition. Printed in England. Now that says 1924. For some reason I was thinking it was 1930, but maybe it's the other book that I was looking at. Must be the other book. So 1924 is the most recent publication, this one. So it's 100 years old, this little sweetie. I did, right now it's afternoon for me, and I must say I spent the morning totally engulfed in trying to find out who Kathleen A. Wolfe was. Because she went to Margaret Eaton School in Hyde Park. She lived on 34 Hyde Park Boulevard. Well, that immediately caught my attention because Hyde Park is quite an expensive area to live in Toronto. And so I thought, let's look her up in the censuses. And I found her in the census because it was nice of her to give us her address. And I found her family, and I found listed as living with her family a servant and a chauffeur. And I thought, Hyde Park, rich neighborhood, family has a servant and a chauffeur on their living in their house and receiving a salary. And so then I thought, well, let's look up what the father was doing. And it said he was a director in a department store. So then I went back to Margaret Eaton School, and I thought, Anyhow, everything fell into place for anyone who's traveled to Toronto and visited the Eaton Centre. For certainly Toronto, and for a goodly portion of Canada, Eaton's was our version of Sears. In Toronto, there were several huge locations of Eaton's department stores. And the Eaton family, Timothy Eaton, started it, and they eventually had all kinds of things that they built and had their name. And for a long time, the main store in downtown Toronto had a bronze statue of Timothy Eaton, and it was always good luck to rub his toe. So the statue was all dark bronze, but his toe was always gleaming gold from people. I've rubbed Timothy Eaton's toe for good luck. Apparently, I forget where it is now. It's no longer, it used to be in the Eaton Center. They kept it there for a while. And apparently it's somewhere else now. Mr. Eaton is somewhere else. Anyhow, I found Kathleen's father, and yes, indeed, he worked for Eaton's. And I found his obituary, and apparently he was very good friends with Timothy Eaton's son. And he worked for most of his career there, which would explain why his daughter would go to Margaret Eaton School. And the school initially apparently was very highly into literature and slowly opened up more to the arts and physical education. So it makes sense that this where's the title? 7 Plays. So she was studying literature, and the arts would mean putting on plays and that. So so there we go, a little bit about Kathleen. I haven't found out anything further on her, but maybe I'll be able to. Certainly I found a picture of her father, and her mother was Elizabeth. So it's not a very it's not an expensive little book, and it's obviously been stacked, and not stacked very well because it's a little bit crooked. But once we take it apart and put in a new text block, our text block, we can straighten that out, no problem. And I can see here it must have at one point had its own little permanent ribbon bookmark. So maybe we'll have to put another red one back in. Let's start at the back here and see if this book will simply just come apart for us. It's got mull, so let's get an X-Acto blade and just do this carefully so that we don't, I don't want to cut the cover. I want to be able to use it. It's a cute little cover. So this is just going to be a sweet little Christmas book. I have a few in mind. I attacked my bookshelves this weekend looking for small red and green books and looking for inspiration, and I found quite a few things that I thought, yeah. And again, I've mentioned it before, I am eager to stop hoarding my Tim Holtz things and making use of them. He brings out new ones every Christmas. Why am I hoarding? When I know for sure I'll be back down across the border in Buffalo buying next year. So come on, you. Usually it's the second half is easy. This is a tough little book, but we have ways of making it cooperate. Try your best to keep your blade as close to the text block as possible so that you don't put the blade through that little gutter on your cover. There we go. Okay. And then hold it up and take a look. Hold it up to the window to make sure you didn't put it through the gutter, the hinge. So, she signed her name several times in this book, Kathleen did. So we'll get at least one of them. We'll sneak it back in somehow, somewhere. Let's take this off. It's just the mull, the old mull. This stuff that looks like cheesecloth. There we go. You probably don't have to take this out. I just do. So, I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. Like I said, last week I just found I was easily distracted. I had a few things to do. My husband was able to actually take a couple days off, so if he gets a day off, I like to spend time with him. And fortunately, I decided to start my Christmas journals in October, so I don't feel such a rush to be in here all day the way I would be at an office. So, there we go. There we go. Now, I think I'm going to have to see if this will come up, because they're really close. Let's come down a bit. The end papers are glued very close to the edge of the text block. And I'm not sure why and how I discovered it. Maybe it was just simply from doing this. I find my tweezers quite often are the best little tool I have for lifting up end papers. I don't take the whole end paper up, in case you're new here. I just like to give myself a bit more room around the edge so that when I lay down some new end papers, and in this case more Christmassy end papers, you won't see this old paper. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to get that done, and then you won't have to. I could easily, depending on the glue, and this glue seems to be adhering. It's tough. This could take a while, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I've got the edge of the old end papers torn back, and that's fine. If they had given me a hard time and had left too much of this just torn white residue, because it was tricky. It took me quite a while. Trust me, you're very happy I didn't force you to watch me dig away at this. An easy way to camouflage it is, of course, good old Distress ink, and I may still do that depending on the size of the end papers I eventually go with. I needed a break from scraping away at it. I use a variety of tools when I'm doing my scraping, from very, very sharp to duller to this one with the little points, and just go with what works for the time being. Anyhow, I needed a break from it, so I decided to Google 34 High Park Boulevard, Toronto, Ontario. And boy, if you get a chance, go take a look at that house. Miss Wolfe was living quite comfortably for her time. She was born in 1907. And so she was living in a very, very nice home. And as far as I can tell from what few real estate listings came up for it, it's still a single family dwelling. A lot of the big houses in the High Park area have since been split up into apartments, into you know, duplexes and triplexes and all that sort of thing. But from what I can figure out, this house is still a single family home, so it would be worth millions of dollars now. And of all things, the walk score for it, it's an 8-minute walk from Sunnyside Park. So a coincidence? I think not. Sunnyside Park, and now we're making a journal that at one point was close to Sunnyside Park. So there we go. I'm not sure any of this will go back into the book. Maybe if there's some ads in the back, we might have a little bit of fun back here. But otherwise, we're just going to make a nice little writing. The World's Classics. Let's see if this will let me take it apart carefully, because that looks kind of interesting. Yeah, that's just going to be a solo, but I think I could still put it in the book by gluing it in like a book plate that goes in when they put in like really beautiful photos and artwork and such. So I'm going to put all these aside for now. I will save this for now in case we need to use it to hold the cover in place. But I don't think we're going to, because this spine doesn't appear to be in terrible condition. And I think this, even that paper is glued down nicely. I think we're just going to need masking tape. I'm not worrying too much about covering all of the hinge because there will be a cloth, the text block will be on cloth that will get glued right down onto that. So I'm not worried about making sure that there's masking tape along the whole hinge. I think I need to put my hairdryer onto this tape. I highly recommend, I know I say it all the time, but I'll say it again for good measure. If you're going to do the masking tape, go the masking tape route just to give a hinge that seems to be in fairly good condition. If this was in abysmal condition, I would be using gauze or cheesecloth or a very light cotton to fortify this spine, but it's in nice condition. But if you're going to go the route of using masking tape, I highly recommend that you don't cheap out on it. This isn't the time to use dollar store masking tape. If you're like me and you've used dollar store masking tape for other things, it can dry up and peel away, peel off of the surface that you originally had put it onto. I've just learned that from habit, because prior to them having painter's tape and all the different kinds of low-tack tapes, masking tape was the only kind that they had. And I love, or I used to love, when I didn't have so many aches and pains, painting the rooms in our house, painting the baseboards, painting the molding, painting the doors, painting the walls. I could do a whole room myself, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And masking tape, if you want your masking tape to hold for another 100 years, get contractor grade masking tape. This is the kind that it actually says strong adhesive, remove within 3 days, or else it becomes permanent, which is what we want. So that's why if you're, and again, I learned that the hard way when I was painting, because I got lazy. We went away for the weekend. I came back and I thought, oh, I better get all this masking tape up. I forget what room I had painted. It was a nightmare, because the masking tape had adhered itself to the surfaces that I had put it down on. So anyhow, so if you're going to use this nice little quick, easy fix, which is lovely, get the good stuff. It'll last you a long time. Go to a hardware store and make sure you get, I mean, our hardware store sells Scotch brand contractor grade. So there you go. Now for the cover of our little book. I tried, I can't see, now I can't see where I tried it, but I tried a baby wipe to just give this a bit of a wipe down, and it wanted to pull up the ink. So what I did was I went over it instead with a soft eraser and just rolled off whatever grime was on it. And when I'm done, I can just see now the daylight. I can see a few little areas that still need it. When I'm completely done the cover, I'll be sealing it anyways with some aerosol sealant, and so it will be nice and clean and free from surface germs to the best of my knowledge. You have to qualify everything these days. There we go. So what I'm thinking for this little book is, Nancy gave me a book recently, a day book, a Beatrix Potter day book. And it was just a little book. And as you can see here, it says December. And it has various pictures from various Beatrix Potter books in this book. So I took it apart, coffee dyed the whole thing, and it's lovely and grungy. Let's come back a bit. It's lovely and grungy now, and I like this picture. It's got little bunnies bringing home some twigs and wood for the fireplace, and you can see there's snow there. I'm not sure what story this is from. Those of you who are bigger Beatrix Potter aficionados could let me know. But I think this is the route we're going to go, is this little frame, my Tim Holtz frame, and a little Beatrix Potter, and then we are going to Christmas up the frame. I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to put maybe some fabrics and sort of shabby chic it. So I was thinking maybe even a little bow or something at the top of the frame. So in the meantime, we need to work on this. I'm going to use my decal edge chomper so that I can, hold on, if I can save that fold, then I can put another page on the other side a little easier. There we go. Pencil. There. Now, and you'll see, I'll show you what I mean later when we get to putting together. There we go. So let's see, what that does is that gives me my fold for when I make this into a folio. And I can just glue the other page right to that, and it becomes a hinge, and it says December, so it's perfect. All right, there we go, and now we have that to work with. And I'm just going to finish tracing around this. I guess it doesn't have to be too perfect, but my luck, I get one go at this, you know, or I ruin it. So there we go. All right, so let's get some of this out of the way. How are we for time? Oh my goodness, where does the time go when we're having fun? Now I can go a little bit inside my pencil mark. Because we're going to glue it to the inside of that frame. I thought about putting, like making it into a little window or something, but all of the papers that I was trying, it just distracted from the pretty little picture that Ms. Potter painted for us. So, let's see. Isn't that cute? Let's see. Yes. Okay. I'm happy. That looks really sweet. Let's come down a bit. Now, what I want to do is, I'm not sure which one I want to use. Let's start with this, and if we need to, we will move to a darker shade. I don't like seeing the layers. Hold on. There we go. You can see the layers of the cardstock and paper, and I don't like seeing that. So that's not dark enough. We need darker. We might need juicier. I may have to resort to actual ink rather than distress ink. Well, you know what? We're at 32 minutes, so we've all inked things before, and I'm just going to continue inking this off camera. But I thought, you know what? I've been away for a week. I need to pop in and say hi to my friends and let you know that I didn't fall off the face of the earth. and that I have several journals in mind, but they're all little ones right now. So these, hopefully, if I'm not too fussy for my own good, will work up quickly and be fun for us. All right, have a good rest of your day. Thanks for joining me. Take a second and say hi down in the comments, and I'll say hi back at you. And we'll get together soon. Take care. Bye.